I'm going to ask you something, and I need you to actually think about it. Don't just read past this. Stop and genuinely consider the question. When was the last time you felt truly safe? Not physically safe. I'm not talking about locked doors or being in your house. I'm talking about internally safe, mentally safe, emotionally safe. That feeling in your body where your chest is open, your shoulders are down, your jaw is relaxed, and there's this quiet calm where you're not bracing for the next thing to go wrong. When did you last feel that? If you're struggling to remember, you're not alone. And if you can't remember at all, if that feeling is so foreign to you that you're not even sure what I'm describing, I need you to hear this. That's not normal, and it's not okay, and it's absolutely not your fault. You've been in survival mode so long, you forgot what safety feels like. And today, we're going to talk about how to find your way back. Survival mode is sneaky. It doesn't announce itself. You don't wake up one day and think, "Ah yes, today I enter survival mode." It creeps in gradually, situation by situation, stressor by stressor, until one day you realize you can't remember the last time you felt genuinely calm. Maybe it started with a job that demanded too much, or a relationship that kept you walking on eggshells, or a family situation where you had to be the strong one, the responsible one, the one who holds it together while everyone else falls apart. Maybe it was trauma, big T trauma, the kind people recognize, or little t trauma, the kind people dismiss as just life. But that shaped how safe you feel in the world. Or maybe it was just everything. The pandemic that never really ended emotionally, the financial pressure that sits in your stomach, the political chaos that makes scrolling the news feel like self-harm, the constant low-grade anxiety of being alive in 2025 in America, where everything feels fragile and nothing feels certain. And somewhere along the way, your nervous system stopped believing that rest was possible. It stopped trusting that you could let your guard down. It learned that vigilance keeps you alive, that scanning for threats keeps you prepared, that staying tense keeps you ready. Your body adapted to survive, and in the process, it forgot how to feel safe. Here's what happens when you live without internal safety for too long. You stop sleeping deeply. Even when you're exhausted, you wake up at 3 a.m. and your brain immediately starts running through everything that could go wrong. Your body can't fully relax because some part of you is always on watch. You can't enjoy good moments. Someone compliments you and your first thought is, what do they want? Something nice happens and you're waiting for the other shoe to drop. You can't be present in joy because you're too busy bracing for pain. You say yes to things you don't want to do because saying no feels dangerous. People-pleasing becomes your default because keeping others comfortable feels safer than risking conflict, rejection, or anger. Your relationships suffer. You can't let people all the way in because intimacy requires vulnerability, and vulnerability requires safety, and you don't have enough of that to share. So you keep people at arm's length and wonder why you feel so alone. You're exhausted, not just physically tired, soul tired, bone tired. The kind of tired that sleep doesn't fix because it's not about rest. It's about never feeling safe enough to actually rest. And the worst part, you start to think this is just who you are. That anxiety is your personality. That hypervigilance is your nature. That you're just not a calm person. But that's not true. You're not naturally anxious. You're adapted to be anxious. There's a difference. You weren't born this way. You were trained into it. By circumstances, by people, by a world that hasn't felt safe for a long time. And what was learned can be unlearned. Before we talk about how to rebuild it, we need to define what internal safety actually is. Because I think a lot of us don't even know what we're looking for. Safety isn't the absence of problems. It's not, everything in my life is perfect and nothing bad ever happens. That's not real. That's not even the goal. Internal safety is the felt sense in your body that you can handle what comes, that you have capacity, that you don't have to be on high alert every second because you trust yourself to respond when something actually requires your attention. It's the calm in your chest when you're doing nothing, the steady breath between thoughts, the ability to sit in silence without your brain immediately filling it with worst-case scenarios. It's being able to close your eyes and not feel like you're losing control. Being able to hear someone's footsteps behind you without your heart rate spiking. Being able to make a mistake without spiraling into shame. It's the feeling of being in your body without needing to escape it. And here's the thing. This isn't some mystical enlightenment state. This is how human nervous systems are supposed to function. This is baseline. What you're experiencing right now, the constant tension, the perpetual scanning, the inability to rest, that's dysregulation. That's survival mode extended way past its expiration date. You're not broken for not feeling safe, but you are allowed to want it back. Okay. Here's the part where I tell you something that might sound too simple to work, but I need you to trust me on this. Safety is built in micro moments. Not grand gestures, not one big breakthrough. Tiny, repeated experiences where your nervous system gets evidence that you can relax and nothing bad will happen. It's not a place you arrive at. It's a practice you build. And it starts with boundaries, real ones. Not the kind you set and then apologize for. The kind you protect fiercely because you finally understand that your peace is worth protecting. Say no more often. Not rudely, not with explanation or justification, just no. I can't this week. That doesn't work for me. I'm not available for that. Watch what happens in your body when you say no and the world doesn't end. That's your nervous system learning. I can have limits and still be okay. Rest without guilt. This is the hardest one for people in chronic survival mode because rest feels dangerous. Your brain says, if you stop moving, everything will fall apart. But here's the truth. You're already exhausted and things are still standing. Rest isn't optional. Rest is the requirement for everything else. So take the nap. Leave work on time. Say no to the weekend plans. Let yourself do absolutely nothing and notice you survived it. Let people earn access to your peace. Not everyone gets the vulnerable version of you. Not everyone gets your inner world. Not everyone has earned the right to your energy, your time, your emotional labor. Stop giving yourself away for free to people who haven't proven they're safe. Make people demonstrate, through consistency, through respect, through reciprocity, that they deserve access to you. That's not being cold. That's being wise. Track moments of calm. This sounds ridiculous until you try it. Get a notes app on your phone or a notebook, and every time you notice even 3 seconds of actual calm, your shoulders dropped, your breath deepened, you felt okay for a moment. Write it down. What were you doing? Where were you? Who were you with or not with? You're building a map of what safety feels like for your nervous system. And once you have the map, you can recreate it. I'm not going to lie to you and say this is fast. Rebuilding internal safety after years of survival mode doesn't happen in a week. It doesn't happen in a month. It's slow. It's non-linear. Some days you'll feel safer, and some days you'll be right back in survival mode, wondering if you made any progress at all. But here's what I can promise you. If you commit to this, if you actually protect your boundaries, rest without apology, and build moments of calm, your nervous system will start to believe you, slowly, grudgingly, but it will start to trust that maybe, just maybe, it's safe to let the guard down a little. You'll notice it first in your body. Maybe your jaw unclenches during your morning coffee. Maybe you sleep through the night once without waking up in panic. Maybe someone raises their voice and you don't immediately flinch. Then you'll notice it in your capacity. Things that used to send you spiraling, a last-minute change of plans, a critical email, a friend being upset, won't hit as hard. Not because the situation's changed, because your resilience grew, because you're not starting from empty anymore. And eventually, and this is the part that feels impossible right now, but I swear it's true, you'll have moments where you feel genuinely calm, where you're sitting on your couch or walking outside or talking to someone you love, and you realize, I feel safe right now, in my body, in my life. Right now, I'm okay. And those moments will get longer and more frequent, and one day you'll realize you're not in survival mode anymore. You're in living mode. And that's when everything changes. Listen to me. If you've been running on empty for so long, you forgot what full feels like. If safety sounds like a foreign concept you're not sure you've ever experienced. If rest feels dangerous, and calm feels suspicious, and peace feels like something other people get but not you, you are not broken. You're not damaged beyond repair. You're not too far gone. You're not incapable of feeling safe. You're rebuilding. And rebuilding always looks messy before it looks like progress. Every boundary you set is a brick. Every moment you rest without guilt is mortar. Every time you let someone earn access instead of giving it freely, you're building walls that protect instead of trap you. This is not about returning to who you were before survival mode. That person lived in a world that felt safer. You can't unknow what you know now. This is about building a new version of safety, one that's informed by what you've survived, one that's wiser, more boundaried, more selective about who gets in. One that knows the difference between being open and being unprotected. You're not going back. You're going forward. Into a version of yourself that can hold both the truth that the world isn't always safe and the truth that you can create pockets of safety anyway. Bit by bit, breath by breath. Peace isn't gone. It's not lost forever. It's not something you used to have access to, but don't anymore. It's waiting for you, right on the other side of the boundaries you're afraid to set, and the rest you're afraid to take, and the no's you're afraid to say. It's there. I promise you it's there. Here's your assignment, and I mean this literally. Do this today. Identify one thing that makes you feel unsafe. Not physically unsafe, internally unsafe. A person who drains you, a commitment you resent, a habit that keeps you in survival mode, a boundary you haven't set. One thing, and take one small action to protect yourself from it. Maybe it's sending the text that says, I can't this week. Maybe it's turning off notifications from someone whose energy stresses you out. Maybe it's giving yourself permission to skip the thing you said yes to out of obligation. Maybe it's literally just saying out loud to yourself, I don't have to do that. One action. Today. That tells your nervous system, I'm protecting you now. You can start to relax. And then notice what happens in your body after you do it. I bet anything you'll feel a tiny shift. Maybe your shoulders will drop half an inch. Maybe your breath will deepen just slightly. Maybe you'll feel the tiniest bit lighter. That's safety, rebuilding itself, one micro moment at a time. I need something from you. Not tomorrow, right now. Think back to a moment, even if it was years ago, when you felt genuinely calm inside. Not distracted, not numb. Actually calm, peaceful, safe in your own body. Maybe you were a kid lying in grass watching clouds. Maybe you were in someone's arms who made you feel held. Maybe you were alone in your car at sunrise before anyone needed anything from you. Maybe you were reading a book in a coffee shop. Maybe you were walking your dog. Maybe you were doing absolutely nothing, and for once that felt okay. Describe that moment in the comments. Not just, I felt calm. Paint the picture. Where were you? What time of day? What did it feel like in your body? What were you doing or not doing? Because here's why this matters. We've all forgotten. We've all been in survival mode so long that peace feels like fiction. But when we share these moments, when we put words to what safety felt like, we remind each other that it's real, that it exists, that it's possible. And maybe someone reading your comment will remember their own moment, or realize that what you described is what they've been searching for, or feel less alone in the fact that they can't remember at all. Let's build a library of what safety feels like. Drop it below. Be specific. Be honest. And if this video made you feel seen, if you're realizing you've been in survival mode longer than you thought, hit subscribe. We're talking about real healing here, not quick fixes, not toxic positivity. The actual work of rebuilding your nervous system so you can feel like a human again instead of a threat detection machine. We're in this together. See you in the comments. Peace is waiting for you. You just have to choose it.